I thought quitting would feel like freedom, but it felt like I was committing a crime. My hands shook over the dinner table like I'd done something illegal. Not because I stole, not because I lied, but because I said one sentence out loud and the entire room changed. My dad stood up slowly, like he needed to control his anger before it controlled him. My mom didn't even speak at first. Her eyes just filled with something heavy and quiet. And me? I sat there staring at my plate, trying to breathe like my life wasn't collapsing in real time. My dad finally said it, sharp and cold. So that's it? You're throwing your life away? He didn't ask why. He didn't ask what happened. He heard the word quit and decided the rest. 3 days earlier, I was still pretending I was fine. I woke up to my phone buzzing like an alarm that never stops overdue. Bills, calendar reminders, a meeting at 9, a low balance warning. Every notification felt like a small punch. In the mirror, I didn't see a lazy person. I saw someone slowly disappearing inside a life that didn't belong to him. On the commute, the train was packed, and people pressed together like we were being shipped somewhere. Nobody looked angry. Nobody looked happy. They looked neutral, like they'd accepted the deal. A man in a suit scrolled his phone with dead eyes. A woman clutched her coffee like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I realized something that scared me. This wasn't a commute. It was a conveyor belt. At the office, my desk felt like a cage with a screen. Emails, spreadsheets, deadlines, work that keeps you busy but never makes you feel alive. I kept telling myself, just survive this week. Then it became another week, then another month. And then you wake up and realize you're not surviving anything. You're just repeating. My boss walked past and tapped my monitor. Make sure those numbers are clean, he said, like my life was messy and my job was the detergent. I nodded because that's what you do when you're trained to keep your head down. That afternoon, I checked my bank account the way people check a wound. The number stared back like an insult. Rent, utilities, food, a small debt I pretended didn't exist. Every month felt like balancing on a wire. I could keep walking carefully, sure, but a thought kept returning. What if the safe path is just a slow way of dying? That night, I opened my laptop like I was opening a door I wasn't supposed to. Trading, charts, candles. I watched a video explaining the basics, and it felt like someone had drawn a map on a wall I didn't know existed. It wasn't magic. It wasn't easy, but it was a system, and systems made me feel calm. I learned the market didn't care about my feelings. I learned beginners didn't lose because they were stupid. They lost because they were emotional. That scared me, because I knew how fast my mind could spiral when something mattered. But the idea of learning discipline, real discipline, not motivational quotes, felt like the first solid thing I could hold. I bought a cheap notebook and wrote rules like they were survival instructions. Risk small, journal every trade. Stop loss is not optional. No revenge trading. If you break the rules, you stop for the day. I underlined that last one 3 times like it was a prayer. I wasn't chasing money, not really. I was chasing control. The next day, I met a friend for coffee. He didn't care about charts, but he cared about me. He stirred his cup and said, "Be honest. Is this freedom, or is it just desperation with a new name?" I tried to laugh. "It's a plan," I said. He nodded slowly. "Just don't confuse hope with evidence." On the 3rd day, something shifted inside me. At work, everything felt like acting, like I was wearing a costume I'd outgrown. Then my boss messaged, "Need you early tomorrow. Big meeting." I stared at it and felt clarity, not anger. I couldn't keep handing pieces of my life away for a paycheck that barely kept me afloat. I walked to my boss's door, knocked, and said the words that changed everything. "I'm resigning." "To do what?" he asked. I could have lied. I could have said I found another job, but I didn't. "Trading," I said. "Full time." He smiled like it was a joke. "So, gambling." It landed like a slap. He warned me people come back begging for references. I signed anyway. Walking outside, the air felt colder and sharper, and for a moment I thought, this is it. This is the moment everything changes. Then reality whispered, "You still have to go home." At home, the smell of dinner hit me like a memory I didn't deserve. My mom was in the kitchen. My dad watched TV too loud, like noise could drown worry. My mom looked up. "You're home early." I nodded. "I quit today." Her face froze. "Quit? What do you mean quit?" My dad turned the volume down and stood up. I forced the sentence out fast. "I resigned. I'm going to trade. Full time." My mom's fear spilled into questions. Rent, bills, what if you lose? What if you can't come back? My dad didn't yell at first. He just stared. "Say it again," he said. Slowly. I swallowed. "I'm going to become a trader." He exhaled hard. "No, you're going to become unemployed." He stepped closer. "You don't get to just decide you're different." "I've been studying," I said. "I have rules. I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for time." The word time made him sharper. "Time is money," he snapped. "And you just burned both." I tried to stay calm. "It's not a game. It's about discipline." He laughed once. "Discipline? You think discipline is clicking buttons and watching lines move?" That's when I understood. They weren't hearing my reasons. They were hearing a threat to the story they trusted. Steady job, predictable path, safety. My dad's voice dropped. "Listen, you have 30 days. My mom turned toward him, shocked. He didn't look at her. He looked at me. 30 days to prove this isn't a mistake. If it doesn't work, you go back to work. No excuses. 30 days like my dream was a trial period. I wanted to argue, but my throat closed. Part of me still wanted approval, so I nodded. That night, silence filled the house like smoke. Before sunrise, I sat at my desk. No boss, no commute, just me and the market. I stared at charts like they were a test I couldn't fail. Under the calm surface, I felt a timer ticking. 30 days. 30 days. It turned every decision into a threat. Around noon, my friend texted, "You good?" I wanted to say yes, but my stomach said no. So I typed, "Yeah, just busy." Another small lie. Later, I saw my mom glance at me like she wanted to ask something but was afraid. She said nothing. Even kindness felt like doubt. That night, my fingers hovered over the mouse. I hadn't even placed a real trade yet, and I could already feel the addiction waking up. Not addiction to money, but to the idea that one click could change everything. One trade could prove them wrong. One trade could justify my choice. I realized how dangerous that was. The market doesn't care about proving people wrong. The market punishes ego like it's its job. I opened my notebook and wrote in big letters, "Do not revenge trade." I circled it, underlined it, stared at it until it stopped feeling like a phrase and started feeling like a warning. I promised myself I'd be different, disciplined, careful, professional. I believed it for a moment. Then my phone lit up with a notification. A deposit, my final paycheck, my severance, the money from my old life sitting in my account like fuel. My chest tightened as the number updated. Suddenly, I wasn't studying charts anymore. I was staring at my future in digits. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't playing with lines on a screen. I was playing with my life. I didn't place the trade that night. I just stared until my eyes burned, because I could feel the edge of the cliff under my feet, and I knew something I didn't want to admit yet. The hard part wasn't learning the market. The hard part was learning myself. And in the morning, the real test would begin, because the next day, I was going to take that severance, my safety, my last excuse, and put it on the line. Not in one reckless move, not in a dramatic gamble. That's what I told myself. But every beginner says the same thing right before they make their first mistake. And I was still a beginner.